Hello and welcome to Anatomy of a Melody, Part 1. This is Javier Arau, and I'm going to give you the option here of going through the lesson a little more informally. I'll talk on each section in the lesson, and then you can go ahead and play the musical examples by hitting those play buttons as the time comes. So this part 1 of Anatomy of a Melody is basically on what makes a successful melodic line. And the idea is, a lot of improvisers, particularly young improvisers, are given a chord and a scale by their band director or by their teacher, and they're told, go improvise. And it tends to be a bit of a trick, because if you just play that scale against that chord, you may not really play anything that you find satisfying at all. You may think, okay, my ear's no good, or maybe I'm just a lousy improviser. But the thing is, there's more to it than that. And one thing is really understanding how to craft a successful melody and what really goes into a solid melody. I think the main element of a solid melody is balance. So the first part is tension and release. The main concept here is that when dealing with a scale, not all notes are created equal. So you know the concept of chord tones, probably, 1, 3, and 5, and the concept of the other notes in the scale, but really you got to think about the relationship between 2 to 1, 4 to 3, 6 to 5, 7 to 6 to 5. And the way that I said them there, where they all resolve down, that's pretty important too, because melodies do have a tendency ultimately to resolve down. So tension and release, what you have is release notes being the chord tones, and then tension notes being the other notes in the scale. So 1, 3, 5 are release notes. They provide resolution, but every resolution needs tension. And that tension is provided by 2, 4, 6, or 7. So really the concept is, just as every inhale we take is balanced with an exhale, tension is always balanced with resolution in really any melody. Each passing tone possesses a tendency to resolve downward or upward to the nearest chord tone. You can still resolve them upward. I think to keep it simple, I've just included resolving downward here. So anyway, what you really want to listen for is rubs between these tension and release points. Each one is distinctly different, and this is where not all notes are really created equal at all. For instance, for me, if you're dealing with a natural minor scale, which is what we'll deal with in example 1, the biggest rub, the biggest point of tension is actually between 6 and 5. I always feel if I hold out a 6 against a tonic chord where there's clearly a 5 in the chord, it really, really rubs. Second to that, I think, is the 2 to 1. And so you're going to hear in a couple of these next examples, example 2 and example 3, how when you get to a 6 and you're holding out a 6, you can really listen for and feel. It's a physical feeling. You can feel that rub as it rubs against 5 and then eventually resolves into 5. At the end of example 3, you're going to hear a prolonged 2 being emphasized, measures 3 and 4 in example 3, and eventually that 2 resolves into 1. And I also think that is a monumental release right there into the very end. So this next section is called balancing oppositions. The idea is that what you just worked on tension and release is one of the main oppositions in music. There are a lot of other musical oppositions also, and all of these really need to be balanced to create an effective melody. So some other oppositions that are very, very common are fast, slow, short, long, down, up, question, answer, repetition, variation, loud, soft, although we're not dealing with that here, play, rest, leap, step, and high, low. So in example 4, you're going to hear a G minor melody that really explores leap, step, and fast, slow oppositions. Another really, really famous, probably the most famous example of leap, step, and fast, slow opposition is Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. And what you have, of course, dee-dee-dee-dum, is, sorry about the singing, but you have very clearly the fast notes followed by a slow note, and this idea that you got a bunch of repeated notes and then a leap downward, or a skip downward by a major third. That's like the ultimate in oppositions. But also Autumn Leaves, where you have a sort of rising melody. Da 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 dee, ya da da dee, ya da da dee, ya da da dee. You can hear that sort of series of steps followed by a leap, also a series of fast notes followed by a long note. All the Things You Are is an interesting one because this one goes a series of leaps cascading downward, and then eventually they're all balanced out by a bit of a twisty-turny series of steps and fast notes. Da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. Da dee da 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 dee da, and here come the series of fast notes. Za da 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 da. So the improviser really doesn't need to complete a fully balanced set of oppositions in a melody. The idea is that you just have to be aware of them. I mean, of course, you can play a really, really fast, snaky solo with no slow playing. That's fine. I mean, a lot of players do that. It's just you need to know if you do that, then you're creating a really fast and snaky solo. I mean, there's nothing on the other side. On the other hand, some players really balance out that sort of chromatic, snaky playing by just resting. You hear this a lot with Miles. I mean, if you listen to a lot of the Plug Nickel recordings, he'll be playing really snaky and chromatic, and then he'll take a break. And then he'll play some more, and those pauses really are oppositions to all of the fast chromaticism that kind of fills up the ear. So he really is literally giving a chance for his lines to breathe. Autumn Leaves is a great example of sort of oppositions that aren't entirely balanced, because what you have here is almost exclusively legato phrases. And there's really not a need to balance this out with any staccato passages at all. I mean, some players interpret it this way, and this is, again, their own license to balance it out how they choose. So an awareness of oppositions is key to really making a purposeful melody. Keeping the big picture. A melody can really gain musical purpose and direction by centering around tonic chord tones and gradually moving from one central tone to another. A common movement for a melody includes an initial focus on 5 before eventually descending to 1. Now this is really a long process. It's not an immediate descent to 1. Another common movement is from 1 up to 5, and then a gradual descent back down to 1. And I mean, you can also have a melody that centers around 3 and then eventually falls to 1, even though that's a very short descent. It still happens. So inexperienced players really often begin their solos on 1. They say, oh, here's a G minor scale, G minor chord, I'll start on G. But you're really missing a lot of options if you start all your solos just down on 1. Also, you're starting on the ultimate resolution. So starting it out there may be similar to beginning a joke with the punchline. It's kind of like, where do you go from there? I think there are very, very experienced comics who could probably do this, but that's the thing. It takes a really advanced player to pull it off. I think it's actually a lot easier to start on another note other than 1 and save 1 for later in the melody. Now, most of these examples treat this very, very textbook. So the idea is you start on 5, and then at the end of the example, it's going to fall to 1. Solos don't have to work that way. I mean, you can dip to 1 anytime you choose. So if you listen to these and you think, I don't know if I want to hit 1 at the end, then don't. Again, it's just being aware, and you ultimately are making the artistic choice what to do.